I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, July the 26th. Market's still reacting negatively to the cattle on feed report results, especially on that placement figure that was missed so badly. Board down pretty hard again on Tuesday. Actually, your cash markets are holding in there pretty well, especially up in the northern plains where you have some of that farmer feeder demand. Your corn and beans were down sizably on Tuesday, and we're just in a weather market right now, and I know everybody was scared to death of the drought killing the corn crop, but you know, I talked to some guys here in the last few days talking about most of Iowa, and don't forget there's counties in Iowa that grow more corn than a lot of states do. And for the most part, the epicenter, your biggest production areas of corn, are doing pretty well. They had a shot of rain here last week. For the most part, the corn is made in that part of the country. There's sure some places in the western corn belt that could use a drink, more so on their pastures than their corn, but they need a drink, period. And there's a lot of pockets that are dry, but you can always bet on the American farmer to put out a pretty good crop, and we're going to have that again. And you can tell that by the demand that these farmer feeders are showing for feeding cattle. They can feed 2 sets of cattle a year, and they're wanting to get this set of cattle bought so they can get to feeding them, and just got get them orders, and just so much far out front from your commercial cattle feeders that it's really hard to explain. But you look at the board, live cattle futures October contract down 162, with October closing on Tuesday at 112.77. That's a long ways from that 120 or 119 and change that we traded last week on our fed cattle movement. Your August spot market is 113.17 on Tuesday's close, a little bit closer, and they kind of flip-flop because October was actually higher, but August didn't go down near as much on Tuesday. Feeder cattle, the August contract down $1.92 at 146.52, which is a little more believable on an 800-pound steer, just on your average, but your RTI and your CME feeder cattle index are both out in front of that. But fat cattle trade, of course, it's early in the week, haven't seen anything. We saw a little dab of trade come in Monday on mandatory price reporting. Some Iowegians puked some cattle there, scared of the report in the market. There's about 175 head at 116 live and about 750 head at 186, but market should be better than that, we would hope. Box beef cutout values were strong for the second day in a row. That will sure help if we could stop the bleeding on this box beef cutout value market, and that's a positive sign. We've been waiting for some solid footing on that, and we have seen that. Your spread between choice and select now is down to less than $9. So what a turnaround from what we saw on those compared to those all-time record highs on certain cuts we just saw here a couple of months ago. But look at your feeder cattle markets, your real-time index on Beef Market Central, still late Tuesday sitting at 150.71, only down 13 cents from the end of last week's close. So that's pretty positive. I mean, we're still looking to see a lot of our early Monday markets and even into Tuesday. Your sellers were scared, so they didn't bring a lot of cattle to town in a lot of those markets, but we should see some pretty good runs here. We got some big markets on Wednesday, and it'll come down some, and I'm sure they will be lower, but it's holding up there better than your board is, of course, and we figured that, but we'll see what kind of losses we get on the big Wednesday sales. But OKC West Kev sale, about 1,700 there, lower undertone there, called by Market News. If you look at the market report from OKC West and El Reno on Beef Market Central there, you see that it was sure lower on the changes from last week's average prices, but with the exception of some big strings of 6-weight calves that they did have there, and they sold pretty well and propped up big on the weighted average price there because there was so many of them. But another market you see At Phillips, South Dakota, they haven't had a sale for quite a while and had a really nice sale up there. 3,000 head. If you look at your market report there on steers, and pretty impressive prices with 7 and 8 weights squarely into the 150s, pretty deep. But 638 head of 9 weight steers, average 942 at 148.08. That's pretty salty on some big steers. And of course, you're getting all that farmer feeder demand up in that part of the country. Look at an individual quote out of Phillip there at 245 on Tuesday afternoon. Had 77 head of steers, weighed 772 at 163. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.